Hello, everybody, and welcome back to DNQ Football. Well, we're here with another interview. This time, Marvin Hamilton, the Sri Lankan international footballer. A word on Sri Lanka, then, a nation famed and glorified for its incredible cricket team, primarily, of course. Everyone knows about Sri Lankan cricket. Everyone knows about cricket in that part of the world as well. An island nation in the Indian Ocean. 22 million people live in Sri Lanka. But football in recent times improving, but prior to that, not really on the agenda for Sri Lanka. And the national side currently ranked 204 in the world. But if anything is to go by based on the recent results, on the up. On the up, we hope.
The only way is up.
The only way is up. Marvin, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all, Marvin. Just to kind of echo what Tom said. Thanks so much again for hopping on, giving up your Sunday evening just to chat through everything with us. Now, I said this to you before we went live, but normally we like to talk a little bit about club stuff before we kind of get stuck into everything international football. But today we just want to, if it's right with you, we just want to fully focus on everything Sri Lanka. It feels so prominent at the moment, the stuff that you've been involved in across 2021. For those that are watching, we're going to be asking Marvin about everything Sri Lanka football, from World Cup qualifiers earlier in the year, and then more recently his participation in the South Asian Football Federation Championships, and most recently the Four Nations Trophy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Marvin, of course, yourself, technically eligible to play for three countries. England born and raised, Nigerian father, Sri Lankan mother. I've Wikipedia'd you. You've played for most teams in the sort of southeast region. As Ryan said, we could spend the whole time talking about your career, of course, starting at Gillingham as well. But internationally, a few years ago, you get the call up. You engage with Sri Lanka. You get that dual citizenship. I know there was complications around that. But what was it like, that first call up? What did that mean to you and obviously to your mother and her side of the family as well?
Yeah, it means a lot, my mum, my brother as well, to be honest, we all chipped away to try and get my citizenship. And it took a while, but I probably gave up a few times, if I'm honest. And as soon as I got it, and then the call up was always going to happen. Really, you was just waiting for my citizenship. So as soon as that come through, it was a happy moment. My mum was super happy. She was proud. So it was a long wait, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you always want to? Did you always have that goal and ambition to play international football then, Marvin? When it kind of
I kind of did,
yeah.
If I'm honest. But, I never knew I'd play for Sri Lanka, to be honest. Because at first, I would say probably when I was about 23, 24 was when I kind of got in touch with the national team. And when they said that I had to have my passport and all that stuff, not that I prolonged it, it was just like I couldn't do it at the time. So, I've always had in the back of my mind I wanted to play international football.
Yeah.
And so at 33, I made it.
No, brilliant. Now, as Tom kind of alluded to, you had some involvement and some I guess some complications, and we were looking at things sort of prior to this interview, Tom, weren't we? And we sort of it was clear that you were involved in about sort of 2018, 2019, and was there a friendly involvement in the game against Qatar?
Yeah.
But kind of come 2021 and a little bit of a, dare I say, a bit of an explosion onto the international scene with those competitive debuts in World Cup qualifiers, the debut against Lebanon. Talk me through what that's like and the difference in kind of your involvement in club football to then going on to that international stage. What is that like?
It's a real experience.
Yeah.
I would say the build-up to the game is second to none. So, you're at the hotel's super nice. The food's great. The schedule's good. Like, you know, everything's just done for you, so you don't have to do anything. You literally just have to turn up and make sure you're on time. But everything's just, you know, it's just all done for you. So all that part of it is, you know, that was a new experience, I'll say, for me. So yeah, that was just it was so good. And leading up to a game, it was like, this is crazy. And then once the whistle blew, it was like, it's just a normal football match again. You know? So I would say, the anticipation for it was crazy, and that feeling of, you know, playing for your country just it's so strange. I don't even know how to explain it. It's so strange. Yeah.
And obviously that first game against Lebanon was narrow defeat, but that's, you know, it's almost quite a historic result, really, based on how far the two teams are apart in world rankings. But then the next game's against South Korea, you know, and you're walking out on the pitch, and I know that Son was involved in the squad, but players we see now week in, week out in the Premier League, like Hwang Hee-chan, for example, you're up against players like that. I mean, did you almost have to pinch yourself at that point that all of a sudden you're an international footballer and all of a sudden you're against these top stars?
Yeah, no, most definitely. And the funniest thing is that I watch a little bit of Bundesliga football as well, and I knew who Hwang Chi was, and I was like thinking, this guy's really good actually, and I play FIFA as well, so I knew he was on FIFA, and I knew he was good on FIFA as well, and I was just thinking, this is crazy. Now I'm playing against him, you know. So it was a weird one. It was just so strange, you know, so strange, because obviously I've been part-time football for a long time now. I haven't been in a professional environment, so it was like literally I'm basically playing against pros again, you know. So it was just it was an overwhelming feeling, overwhelming.
Yeah, I bet. And then it kind of sort of from those, if we fast forward to the Octobers and Novembers of this year, we're then into the SAF Championship. Not long later, you get your call up for that tournament as well. This tournament, like a far more competitive one. Nations far more in and around that level of Sri Lanka. What was it like, kind of, to be involved going into that tournament, knowing that it's, I guess, a little bit more of a level playing field? Maybe there's a little bit more of an expectation there. Just talk us through kind of your involvement in that tournament and how all that kind of felt.
So yeah, this one felt a little bit more, I would say, we was a bit more prepared.
Okay.
This one, obviously, the region, the countries that we're playing against this time are more in and around our region, and it was more of a, I would say, like, we're ready kind of thing. Because again, you know, World Cup qualifiers, you know, as you said, you know, playing against South Korea is crazy, and to play against a country that's, you know, closer towards what you are, it was like a level playing field. So we felt kind of ready. But even though inside we know that we wasn't completely in the greatest mind frame, because of coming off the back of a 3-2 defeat and a 5-0 defeat, and haven't won a game for a few years. So it was tough, you know. But we looked forward to it, and when we was playing, you know, the first game we was like, okay. After 45, we was like, okay, so we kind of know what the feeling of these sort of regions are. So that sort of gave us a boost for, you know, the next games. And we done okay. You know, we done okay.
Prior to sort of the games kicking off, there, you sort of mentioned there it's more of a level playing field. World Cup qualifiers are a different thing. What is the ambition of the squad going into that tournament, or those kind of tournaments? Because it's a different mindset. You're not playing Premier League and Bundesliga stars. You're playing people you've got a good chance to compete with. Are you going in with an ambition of we can do something in this tournament? We can win a game. We can win some matches.
I think we took each game by let's get through this game and see how we get on. It was hard. It's hard to tell as well, because for me, I haven't played against any of these countries before.
Yeah.
Some of the players, in the team have, and it was just mixed. It was a bit of a mixed thing. Some of the players were saying, we've done well against these teams before, and we could possibly get a good result. And a good result sometimes could be a 1-0 defeat.
Yeah.
So it was mixed. It was a little bit mixed, but so I think the next competition helped us. That helped us for the next competition.
For sure. Before we get, and believe me, we will get onto the Four Nations Trophy. So in that SAF Champs, you've kind of mentioned about the results and how a close defeat can be a positive result. And let's be fair, that the results from that tournament were pretty positive. Standout ones, the 0-0 draw with India, which was an absolute cracker, and all the other games were close run. A close 1-0 defeat against Bangladesh, 3-2 against Nepal, 1-0 against Maldives. Now, before we go anywhere, I've got to talk about that goal against Nepal. Your first international goal. You've got a FIFA card that we spoke about before we hopped on that's got 15 shooting on.
Yeah.
And you've absolutely battered one into the top corner. Talk us through that.
You know what's so funny is that the coach, the manager, he's always telling me to shoot. Always telling me to shoot. I would say I've had a decent shot on me for that's part of my game. So before the ball come to me, I just had a feeling of like because we just narrowly missed a chance, or someone crossed the ball and then we had an open chance and someone missed it. So it was like, nah, someone just needs to shoot. Someone needs to get a ball, get the ball on target. So as soon as one of the players he left it for me, I just said, I'm taking a touch and I'm setting myself up to shoot. So I probably didn't matter where I was on the pitch. I was always just going to shoot.
And what goal?
What a goal!
Thank you.
Yeah, and as Ryan said, moving on now to following a good display at the SAF Championship. All of a sudden, this new tournament starts. This new tournament begins, which obviously for you, getting more and more involved in the national team probably came at the perfect time. The Mahinda Rajapaksa Prime Minister Four Nations International Trophy, as its full name is.
Rolls
off the tongue, that one. But a really great tournament as it turned out to be. Back in Colombo as well. Yeah. A chance for you to play games in Sri Lanka. Firstly, what was that like being back in Colombo, a place that I know you've visited many times with your family? And what was the ambition following the SAF Championship? Was there more of a desire to, we're on our own turf here, we can go far in this competition?
Yeah, I think we had in our head that, we could win a game, which was a target for us. And I would say another goal for us was to probably try and get into the finals, And it was tough. Even after the first game, I was thinking we still had a chance to get to the final, but it was far. And then losing the second game was like, this is just getting further and further. And then the third game, luckily enough, we made our own luck, I would say. We worked hard for that, so it was good, and it was nice to play at home. To tick that off as well, and also my mum was there. I had some family there, so it was nice to have everyone there. It was good.
Special. It looked like almost like a carnival atmosphere, didn't it? At times, whilst we were watching back here. Now, before we, I guess, sort of digress too much further, I've got to ask about that opening game. 60 minutes, 4-0 down. And then 4-4 by the end. Razik with all 4. What were you? What happened? You just thought we'll play a bit now.
Yeah. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. All I can remember is that we wasn't playing back. Not playing back. No. It was literally a few mistakes here and there, and the ball was in the back of the net. And the Maldives, they're sharp. Like they're. I know a lot of their players are a little bit older than me, but they're strong, they're sharp. And playing against them previously, I would say they were one of the better teams that we played in the South Championship. So we knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew it was going to be hard. And yeah, I don't know. It's just some magic happens, miracles happen, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, we just started. And I think once the first one went in, we thought, no, we need to make this a little bit more respectable, at least, you know. And then the momentum just came, and it just kept rolling and rolling, and it just it happened for us. Yeah. I reckon if we played another five more minutes, we might have got a fifth.
Yeah. Well, DDS and Rizik were just on absolute fire for that last half an hour, weren't they? Absolutely. Yeah. And then I sort of still want to just ask a little bit more about the group stage. The tough, sort of a close, sort of tough defeat to the Seychelles, but then that final group game, the victory that Sri Lankan football has been waiting for years, finally comes, and it was a bit of a tournament of last minute goals, wasn't it? And the penalty last minute, and kind of the scenes after. Talk us through what that was like from you as a player in the heart of all that happening. You know what it was?
I just remember not getting a rest. Like, there was no rest. I'm thinking, from the 4-4 game, it was an exciting game, and there was no rest. And then the next game, it was close as well. There was no rest again. And then, every game was just exciting. And I was thinking, if someone's watching this game, they must be thinking this game is, it's good to watch for someone who's a mutual. But yeah, it was the pitch was crazy. You could barely stand up. So it's kind of a leveler again, I would say. And it was remarkable. One thing that sticks out in my head as well was that the sending off was similar to the last game that we played Bangladesh in the South Championship, and the same player got sent off, and it wasn't it was a handball, but it wasn't inside the box, so we got done by a little bit, and we didn't play well against Bangladesh in the South Championship. We didn't play well at all, and it was only 1-0, so it sort of encouraged us to think, you know what, we can do something against these guys. But so him, Duxon sacrificing himself by handballing it, and them not scoring that penalty just gave us belief, and it just felt like it meant to happen. So it was just one of them things that you could probably write about and you wouldn't believe it, but it actually happened.
Yeah, it was a bit of a Luis Suarez moment, wasn't it, from Duxon, to sacrifice himself for the team. Before we touch on the final, of course, like a word on Duxon and Sujan as I know, unfortunately, Duxon missed the final along with a few other players, Kavindu and obviously Dylan as well. It could have been a different game, but what is it like? Obviously, Sri Lankan football isn't of the best quality at the moment. It's on the upward trajectory, but what is it like? A player that most people, certainly in sort of European football, have no idea about Duxon or even Sujan, for example. What is the level, the quality of these players? Did it surprise you, some of the talent in the squad when you got there?
Yeah, it did, and no, because we've got 22 million people in our country, so there's, you should find some diamonds,
Yeah.
And like you said, Duxon and Sujan, they're some of the diamonds, and there's a few more in there that are good quality. And the football style is completely different to I would say England, because obviously I play here. The culture is different. Everything is different. It's pretty much different. And some are suited. It's a funny one, because I've got some friends that haven't played professional football, but I could see them playing in the Premiership. And it's just them, but they might not be able to play in League Two, for instance.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like that. So. There's some quality there. There's some technically gifted players there, and it's not surprising because there's 22 million people. So, and I know how football is, and it's just one of them places where you think they could be better players. Yeah, of course, better players everywhere, but the ones that are in the squad and the ones that are dying for the team. they've done really well. They've done really,
Sure.
really well. They've done really well.
What is sort of the biggest differences between English football and the style of football when you go over and you play? Firstly, I guess international football, and then sort of with the Sri Lankans. Is it quicker and more technical rather than sort of more combative and physical in England?
Yeah. So England 100% is more physical, and it feels like more of a fight, more of a big fight
Sure.
than anything. But it's a lot more technical. Get the ball down, pass around, and because obviously Sri Lankans, they're not the biggest.
Yeah.
They're not the tallest. So you got to play to their strengths, which is keeping the ball on the floor. So I would say it's a lot more technical, a lot more reserved.
Yeah.
And sometimes frantic, but that's how football gets sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
And then, and then let's go back. Let's go back to the Four Nations Trophy, the final. Can we talk about that in as much detail as possible? You score the opener, another long distance strike. First question, let's get a DNQ exclusive. Did you mean it?
Yes.
Oh! So you're claiming it? You're claiming that as your goal?
It looked like an own goal, Marvin.
You know what? If he didn't touch it, it's going top corner.
Oh, you reckon?
Not on that pitch. No way.
They all count.
Caught that cleanly at all. Do you know what? We respected. We were watching, weren't we? I said, he's not shooting from here, is he? He's at the halfway line.
You know what it was? I couldn't get in my head that because obviously we do we got a guy who does the match analysis stuff and whatnot, and he gets on to me about my stats. So I didn't have one. I think I had one shot that tournament. So I was thinking 4 games in, I haven't had one shot. This is crazy. So, and when I put the ball down, it just like everything said to me, shoot. Everything, like the ball just sat up nicely for me, amongst that thick mud. It just sat up nicely. It was like a tee, when you're about to swing for a golf swing.
Yeah.
It was just there.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I was just thinking, the ball's there to hit clean, and there's so many bodies there. You never know what can happen. So
I'm sure you've watched it back. I'm sure you've listened to it back. I was watching it live on the Sri Lanka TV YouTube. The commentary team went absolutely mental when that went in. They absolutely loved it. I couldn't believe it myself. But hey, listen, we've spoken about style of football and obviously the kind of South Asian, almost like tiki-taka to a certain extent. Every team that we saw tried to play the same way, except for the opposition in the final. Seychelles, far more physical, far more direct.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're probably a bit more used to that, but do you think that and obviously I fully appreciate what the pitch looked like and what the conditions were like, which probably, helped them. We've already said about a few players missing the final as well. Do you think that was the biggest challenge for the Sri Lankan players, just dealing with the physicality of the Seychelles?
Yeah, I would say that was their strengths. That and also probably our mental strength as well. To playing in the final for the first time in how many years, it being at home as well, and us just wanting to do well for everyone. That was a tough barrier, I would say as well. So them two combined, it was a tough task. It was always going to be a tough task. Losing to them already, they've got the upper hand. It felt like we wasn't the underdogs at that game. And we've been an underdog for how many games in a row. It was tough. That physicality they've got is tough to deal with. Yeah.
And sort of going full circle as well. As we've touched on, a bit of a shock to the system for you. Playing in the tiers of English football, then all of a sudden you're out playing international football against some of these stars we've spoken about. And then all of a sudden you're walking out at the racecourse ground in Colombo and Gianni Infantino sat there. What was that like to suddenly... And obviously the stadium was packed out as well. The atmosphere was incredible. What was it like, the build-up around that game and everything? What was the feeling in Colombo?
The build up, it was definitely like something, it was like an FA Cup final feeling. You know, that's how I can compare it to. And to see Gianni there as well was just like, it was crazy. And you know what the funniest thing is, I looked at him and I thought, he's here. He's actually here, watching us, watching our game as well. And then I'm looking over and my mum's not far from him. And I'm thinking, my mum just sat right near him. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Just no words for it, to be honest.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Now, the game itself and kind of how it transpired, Tom's already touched on it. How different do you think that would have been if you had Kavindu, DDS, Puslas, and I guess you maybe had a little bit more time to sort of rest and recover after the roller coaster of the group stage. How different do you think that game goes with a bit of a full strength team?
As blunt as I can play it, we would have won.
Yeah, we thought the same. Yeah,
we would have won. We was just on fire, you know. We was on fire, and we just had a good feeling. And you know, so obviously, if we had our best players on the pitch, it would have been a different story. 100%, it would have been a different story.
Obviously, you know, the players going forward did an excellent job in the absence of both, you know, really the two starting wingers, certainly in the first game, and obviously without Duxon at the back, that's a huge loss. There's no doubt that the players that came in, that was they gave everything for that game. Everyone involved gave everything for that game. What do you think that this tournament, in particular, alongside the good results of the SAF Championship, what do you think that that's had on the impact of football in Sri Lanka?
Nothing but positive stuff, you know. But it's been on the rise. As you say, we're basically at the bottom, and it's been on the rise, and it's just waiting for something to happen. So like good results for us to win a game and to get to the finals. I think that's what it needed for it to kickstart even more. And I would say, it's on the rise. Good things are happening, and I'm just happy to be a part of it and try and help it grow even more. You know.
Yeah, it's brilliant. What's the next thing for this team, Marvin? What's the next hurdle?
Next hurdle is to, I would say, win a tournament. Yeah,
for sure.
We're lucky to have so much football at once as well. You know, having the South tournament and then the Four Nations, and then next year I believe it's the South tournament again, because obviously the last one got so next year. So we've got a lot of football coming up, and it's just up to us, I guess.
Yeah, exciting times for Sri Lankan football, and kind of exciting times to sort of encourage a nation, inspire a nation to get into football, with kind of star performances on the pitch. Yeah,
that's right.
And for you yourself, Marvin, as you touched on, the young age of 33, you know, obviously, you know, you're a coach, UEFA B licensed coach. Is that something that you consider now you've been more involved in the national team? I know that there's coaches from all over the world as part of it now as well. Is it something you look at in the future? Would you one day like to be involved in the coaching setup for Sri Lanka?
100%. I live and breathe football. It's you know, I might not have stayed at the level that I've wanted to, but if I can work in football for the rest of my life, I'll do it. So I definitely want to do something. It could be anything football related. So I mean, I do look at it as something I want to do as well. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, Ryan, do you have any more questions for Marvin this evening?
Nothing at all from me.
And nothing more from me. Marvin, all that's left for us to say is thank you so much for your time this evening. Congratulations on what was an excellent couple of tournaments for Sri Lanka, you know, raising the international profile of the side, and we wish you all the best for the future as well.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Marvin.
No worries.